Hi, welcome to the Team X podcast powered by Rosenthal Coaching. Today we will discuss why does creating sustainable teams save you from getting headaches.
Hello, I'm Steluta Leo.
And I'm Gabriel Trandafiresco.
We are professional coaches working with leaders and their teams to unleash their superpowers and maximize results. If you're new to our podcast and our channel, make sure to follow us, subscribe, and get notified whenever we post new videos or we go live. We have an adage that we were talking about in the description of this show, which is employees don't quit companies, they quit managers, right? And it's known under various forms. And we know that attrition is such a significant thing that happens in organizations, such a difficult challenge that all organizations and all leaders are experiencing. Especially, it was really interesting to see that it happened especially during the past 2.5 years, the pandemic. And I've read some stats which were saying that it happened, the rise in people leaving for new opportunities was high. So we are discussing today the topic of sustainable teams because it is really important for an organization in order to achieve success and to bring its mission to life, to create a sustainable team. And I know that sustainable is not a word that is used quite often when we're talking about uh, teams. It's mostly used in the environmental sense, in improving the planet. But I think it is a term that, and we think here at Rosenthal Coaching, that is a term that um, we can use to talk about teams as well. So, Gabe, what are we talking about when we're talking about sustainable teams?
Yes, indeed, sustainable is not a word very often found in the business world, as you can find it more in other areas. But I would just go back to the title of the show and also um, the way you put it regarding high performing sustainable teams, because I think they're very the two terms are very much related, and I would say a high performing team can only be if the team is sustainable over a long period of time, and that is one of the first features I would say that it's included in being sustainable. Being sustainable means being high performing and achieving uh, good results or even great results over an extended period of time. Another feature, because we are tackling only three of them today, of course, the subject is so much more extended, but we will tackle only three items on the list, and this is one. So the sustainability over time. The second one is being sustainable um, in spite of membership changing. So people joining and leaving the certain team, and that's also very interesting, and we'll talk about that. And the third one is uh, what does it mean to be sustainable even when you don't have a de facto leader, and when the leadership is intrinsic in the team. And also, I would say that that's a very important factor, and we have discovered that in working with many companies, that at some point teams don't have an official de facto leader, and still they can work very well together. So we're gonna take them one by one, and um, I would say if we want to start, what does it mean over time? Of course, when all things are good, even bad teams perform good and perform well, right? Because yeah, when you have a product that everybody wants and the market is virtually global and you can expand forever, and the market conditions are great, any team performs well, and it doesn't have to be an intrinsic high performing team, but they perform well because all the external context is sustaining and helping them, supporting them to do that. But like any other team, like a group of friends, like a family, like a sports team, like a co-workers team, the way to see if they are sustainable and high performing is when things are going bad, if when market conditions are bad, when there is a very deep depression, when you know there is a disruption in the um, supply chain and things are not coming together and all that. So that's where you see that the team is or is not sustainable. And I would say, like everything else, these conditions shift and change in waves, like everything else happening in this universe. And a sustainable team performs well and is high performing even when these downturns happen. And they even though they will not be at their highest, because it's sometimes it's just impossible if you have like 80% less clients, or the market shrinks, or there is a big disturbance in the supply chain and all that. It's really impossible to perform at your highest. However, you can see that instead of dismantling and starting blaming each other and throwing things at each other and you know um, going personal, they stick together and they look for options to move forward and to pass through this shifting economical or social or global pandemics or other types of large scale disruptions. So I would say, in my viewpoint and from our experience, this is what makes a sustainable team over time, regardless of external conditions. I would like to ask you, because you had a very extensive career before you started coaching into the corporate world in Fortune 100 companies. And I would like to ask you, how was your experience as a member in a sustainable team? What can you extract from that?
Well, I can tell you that, thank you for the question. So I can tell you that the experience was really great. And I'll tell you why. Because, we talk here at Rosenthal Coaching a lot about the team dynamics, right? So the the team dynamic is the energy that underlines everything going on in a team, right? So the team that I was part of, it was actually a sales team, right? So usually in sales team there is a lot of competition in there, and there is a lot of power struggles happening in such a team. You are against deadlines most of the time. You have KPIs that you need to achieve. You have forecasts that you need to submit. You have a lot of compliance issues that you need to face. You need to work with other teams in a smoothless manner, because I was working in technology, so I needed to work with pre-sales teams, with consultants teams, with teams from other lines of businesses. So there's always a high pace and a huge intensity that you're working at. But when the team is sustainable, and this, from my experience, comes from the leadership, right? From the leader of the team. When the team is sustainable, and the team that I was part of was a sustainable team, despite the competitiveness that we all had, because we were all very competitive in the team, we were still working together. We were still friends. We were still spending time together, at work and outside work. We became family friends. There was no such thing as these side chats. There was no mocking each other. There was no such things, though we were playing pranks and stuff like that. But the energy overall was a very positive, and we were all actually really proud and really happy to be there. And one of my colleagues, I remember that when we were going into presentations, he was always using the we when he was presenting something. We at, and he was saying
Mm-hmm.
the name of the company, and we do this and we do that. It was like he was part of being part of the organization and the company that he was in was something that he was proud of. And I'm sure that to this day he's acting actually the same, because that was the energy that was there. We were proud to be there. We were proud to be doing the work that we were doing. And that was, I think, that it was really motivating. And there were days which were really bad days, right? Because things
Mm-hmm.
happen, like in life, it's never always as you plan it. It's never, you don't always meet your targets. You have managers or regionals who shift gears, and the strategies move. And usually when you work in a technology company, there's a high pace of change. You need to catch up with the change also. But that was not the thing. The thing was that we were proud to be there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what I can extract from that experience, that when there is a good leadership within the organization, regardless of the challenges, regardless of whether you meet or not your KPIs, regardless of the turbulences in the market, as you mentioned before, regardless of the either external circumstances outside the organization or internal circumstances, because sometimes there are
Mm-hmm.
um, dysregulations within the team members or within the organization that the team is part of, we were still proud to be there, and we were still happy to be going to work, and we were still pushing to achieve what the company was asking of us, because we
Mm-hmm.
were proud. So this is the thing that I can extract, is that when you work for a team like that, you are proud to be there. It's not like you feel it like it's a grudge to wake up in the morning and go to work. You really go there joyful and proud, and you tell people that you work for that company, and this is what we're doing. And this is what I can extract from the
Mm-hmm.
experience. Back to that to your question,
Thank
right?
you.
Sure.
So, would you say, like I was listening to you, and of course I know more details, but what you just said now, would you say that uh, being sustainable in that in your experience would be in a team that says we, even when things are going bad,
Of
instead of pointing you and you and you, we stick together, and it's still we, even
Yeah,
when shit hits the fan.
exactly. I can totally say that. And we had people coming in and out of the team, and there were times in which it was like a revolving door of salespeople coming in and out. So
Hmm.
there were just a few of us who have been with the team for the longest, and the leadership and the leader of the team. And I can tell you that it was a we. That was the
Hmm.
thing that was defining us. We were talking about this as a we.
Hmm.
And I remember also, because you were asking about the we, right? When the team leader, who was actually a senior manager, it was not just a beginner team leader. So his experience was extensive in leading teams. When he was hiring, he was applying that process that we were discussing about, which was circular leadership. So he was involving us also in bringing new people on, because he was aware that there is about these dynamics, and that
Hmm.
we are human beings and we have interactions, and it is important that you have the entire team's buy-in. Right,
Hmm.
actually, right? That's what he was doing, making sure that he has our buy-in to welcome a person and to ramp up that person the fastest. And this
Hmm.
is one of the things that organizations face as a challenge: the long ramp-up time of a new person joining the organization.
Hmm.
Right? It's not only when a person leaves; it's not only the time when somebody else needs to take over the responsibilities, other uh, resources being focused towards hiring somebody, right? HR, whatever other
Hmm.
resources, the management team. But it's also the long ramp up time that a person who joins an organization has, because it's not 2 or 3 months ramp up time, especially in larger, more complex organizations. It's 6 to 9 months, a year time sometimes, depending on the seniority of the person, depending on the responsibility. So it is really important that you have a sustainable team that can go through and achieve the KPIs, achieve the targets, achieve whatever the organization is asking of them through these difficult times when you are either onboarding a new person and immersing the person, exposing the person to what does the team and the organization mean, and through the period when there's nobody to cover the responsibilities and you need to load the other team members with the responsibilities of the person who left.
Okay, so you mentioned in your description also the membership turnover, which is the second point on our list today, and I would like to explore a bit on that. And going back to what you mentioned before, which is the team dynamics, that's kind of the foundation for everything else. So there is a dynamics that's always there, and when that foundation is really solid, like anything else, you can build a solid structure on top of it. And the foundation can be either solid in a positive way or can be solid but in going towards a not so productive way. And I would just briefly tackle the two options. So when you have a positive foundation, a team dynamics that it's really constructive and people share the same goals and values and have productive behaviors and constructive arguments, and they work interdependently towards the same goals, and that they feel like they have the same purpose. There you have somehow a definition of solid positive foundation and a prerequisite for having a sustainable and high performing team over time. And a point where you can see that is when people leave the team. Some people always leave the team, and some others come into the team. So when you have this type of foundation, regardless of who's leaving and who's replacing them, you will see the team moving in the same way forward. So the new team members are, stepping in like a template, because the team dynamics is already a very good and strong foundation towards high performing and also on a long term base. So regardless who's leaving and coming, they replace the same roles in the team dynamics, not only the technical and organizational roles, but also the energy roles and everything that's happening in the team dynamics. So that's where that you have a strong foundation when this is moving forward in the same way, even when people are leaving and are being replaced. On the other hand, the flip coin is when you have a negative, I would say, foundation, and regardless of who you bring in, things are still going bad. That's where something is crooked in the foundation and in the team dynamics. So even you say, oh, this team is, as a leader especially, this team is not working because Mr. Johnson is not performing. I will fire Mr. Johnson and hire Mr. Jackson or Mrs. Jackson, right? And you see things are still going bad. And that's if you're becoming aware as a leader, and I hope you should at that point, especially when you repeat that maybe 2 or 3 times and you still see that things are not moving forward in a positive way. That's where something is. You need to work on the foundation, on team dynamics, and it's not about the actual people who are leaving or coming, and it's something beyond that. It's something in the team dynamics, in the foundation. So I would say sustainability in a good way is where, just to get back to the point, moving forward with a team and people, it's like a ship, people are coming and going on board and going out of the ship, but the ship still goes, like still sails towards their goal. That's how I would see a sustainable team regardless of the membership turnover.
Yeah, I was thinking as you were talking now that if we were to think about when we work individually with leaders, right, as leaders, leadership or executive coaches, it's like the mindset. I would maybe equate the team dynamics with the mindset of a leader, right? So, unless you change the mindset, you might be doing things, you might keep on doing things and taking action towards certain things, and this might take you somewhere, but you will not be achieving the sustainable results until you change the mindset, until you change that foundation that sets the tone for everything you're doing. Would you consider the same? Do you think it's the same thing? Would you equate the two somehow,
Yeah,
right?
I-
Mindset
I-
with the team dynamics.
yeah, definitely. At the individual level, that's exactly what's influencing everything else, right? If you have a certain mindset, you're doing certain actions according to the mindset. You cannot sustainably do things contrary to what you believe in. Nobody can. It's not sustainable. We are doing things individually based on what we believe in. If we have a certain belief, you cannot do things sustainably contrary to that belief. It's the same thing, uh, as you mentioned, when you map it to a team. It's it's the whole team's mindset, if you will. It's the whole culture of the team. The culture is built upon the mindset of, the collective mindset and collective purpose and what all the people, the members of the team believe in. So they act accordingly. So it's a perfect example.
Okay, so what do we do when we have, we have the collective mindset of a team, right? And which is definitely, from my experience, influenced by their leader, right? I think
Hmm.
this is really important. I think this is really important for leaders to why this is really important for leaders to always up level their skills, whether we're talking about
Hmm.
professional skills or team management skills, people skills, hard skills, soft skills, right? So uh, this definitely influences the team dynamics and how they perform. um, and you were mentioning earlier that another point that we want to talk about is sustainable teams through times when there's no leader running the team. And
Hmm.
first, I would like you to, if you want to talk about a bit the difference between a leader running the team, not the organization, but the team at the the smallest, the basic level, and leadership in a team, right?
Hmm.
Because I think we need to differentiate, because there are teams in which there might be a former manager in place, but that person is definitely not the leader of the team, right? So there sometimes, especially when managers are at the beginning of their career, they makes the role in itself the with actually the attributes and what does being a leader mean. They mix being a manager with being a leader, which is not true. So do you want to dive a bit deeper in this
Hmm.
topic, right? The difference between managing a team and leading a team, and leadership and leader,
Hmm.
and then cover the how does a sustainable team go through times without a leader, formal leader in place.
Sure, that's an excellent viewpoint, and I'm glad that you added to our talking points, because the difference between a manager and a leader, in simple terms, I would say a manager is deploying organizational and functional skills towards making sure the team does what they are supposed to do. So, and a leader is inspiring a team of people and influencing them with their vision and sharing their vision and their purpose. So it's like another level on top of the functional and organizational structure. It's something that actually drives the team forward and makes them really high performing. It's not the technical stuff and the skill set that everybody has that makes the team really high performing. Is the other thing is the
And the
leadership.
reporting, because when we're talking about big organizations, it's also the reporting that needs to be done. So somebody needs to do that.
Mm,
There is a huge difference. And I was part
yeah.
of a team, another team, and this is a different team, the one that I was talking about, which was a sustainable team. I was part of a team in which the manager of the team, the person that was functionally appointed to run the team,
Hmm.
had not that had no leadership skills, but he was not uh, showing any leadership skills. He was just doing the functional role,
Hmm.
just making sure that everybody submitted their forecast, everybody
Yeah.
was achieving their KPIs, everybody was compliant, everybody was on time, everybody was doing everything that was requested, while whilst there was a totally different person who was actually the leader of our team, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and now going to the second point that you made, the regardless leadership with an de facto leader and leadership of the team, regardless if there is a leader or not. And I would say the two are related with the manager role that you mentioned, because when there is a manager who's only a manager and they're not a leader, that's where you see the leadership from the team, because the team always has leadership. When you have a real leader, like a strong, powerful, inspiring leader, then the leadership is it's common. It's they share the leadership. The leader shares the leadership with the team. When the person is only a manager, then the leadership of the team emerges. So because they need any team needs leadership to get going, and especially to become and be sustainable and high performing over time. So the leadership emerges from the team even when there is no leader. So I would say this is also a very important factor when you look at a team and see if they are sustainable over time. So even as we were mentioning before, other members leave and come and go. Sometimes the ship goes forward even without a captain, because the team, the crew knows exactly and work so well together that they can go through large expanded periods of time without an actual leader, because the leadership is emerging from inside, and they are all leaders, co-leaders at the same time. They are co-creating the leadership together. But when you have a great leader, that leadership is, as we mentioned in previous episodes, it's a circular leadership, and then it's shared. Everybody has a piece and contributes to the leadership, and there is no need for an actual boss, like to tell people what to do, because they're more like, then the leader is more like a guide, is more like a mentor, it's more like, something else, is not a boss.
Everybody is invested, and I wanted to share with you a joke that we used to make when we were in one organization. It's like that speaks about the difference between managers, and and actually speaks to our point that team being sustainable. Is that it was a question. It's like, why don't all managers go on vacation at the same time? And the answer was that because it would prove that the organization can run smoothly without them, right? So we were we were making sometimes jokes around that, right? If the team is sustainable, it there's no need for a manager. For sure, there's no need, but there's no need also for a leader for short periods of
Hmm.
time, because people are invested in what they're doing, and everybody works towards achieving high results, because it's not only the individual results, it's also the we results, the team's results, that are really important, because the team is aligned with the
Hmm.
vision of the organization, which is important. And we were
Definitely.
discussing, and we promised that towards the end of our session, we will be sharing with our audience a process that can help team
Hmm.
improve consistently over time. And this is a process that it is so easy to implement, and it yields such high results for a team that I think it is a pity for that so many teams are unaware of it. So do you want to
Mhm.
share a bit more, please?
Yes, of course. And I would actually come from the last part that you mentioned, with the team running without the manager and the leader even. And the way they do that, probably in an unconscious way, when a sustainable team moves forward without leadership, even with or without leadership, regardless, it's because they adjust, they always adjust to each other, and they always paying attention to each other and try to accommodate each other, and like always moving in sync, moving together, like beating together. And one way to make this thing in an work in an organized way and in a more productive way is to actually schedule a way to implement a continuous improvement system. And we're not going to get into Kaizen or Six Sigma, Lean, and all the other very extensive and very thorough systems that any team can deploy. But of course, they need extensive knowledge to do that. Instead, we're going to present right now very briefly a very simple way that a team and their leadership can deploy, and it's based on a process called feed forward. And the difference between uh, and the reason feed forward exists, it's because it's very different than feedback. So the major difference is that feedback it's focused on finding what went wrong mostly. Most of the times when you give feedback, you get to more points where things didn't work out as you wanted them to be. That's just where the majority of the focus. It doesn't mean that it doesn't put out also achievements and wins, but this is how it happens historically, and from our experience in working with companies and many other knowledge base, we discovered that feedback gets more into the negative, more into what didn't work, what crashed, what happened. Let's analyze what happened wrong. Whereas feed forward is very different, especially from the focus point. So the focus in the feed forward is asking a totally different question, is how can we improve this in a next iteration, in a next event, in a next sales call, in a next meeting, in whatever comes next. Is facing forward, is not looking back at all, is facing forward and asking, in this case, asking the team collectively, asking them themselves, hey team, how can we make the team meeting better next time? What can we improve? Can we improve the structure? Can we improve how each one of us contributes? Can we improve the outcome, the decision making process? How can we improve each one of these? And this is like, if you will, like a very core um, process from the larger ones who are, for example, Kaizen, right? This is what they do. Like they take, what can we improve in each iteration? So the feed forward can be used as a scheduled process, as the foundation of a continuous improvement system by any leader who really wants to improve the team and making it sustainable and high performing over time, by scheduling, let's say, monthly one of these meetings, and which is focused on how can we improve these items that we want to, KPIs, if you will. You can work directly on KPIs, right? And we know that because we worked with many teams. We accompanied the leadership and the team while they were doing this, and we facilitated and coached the team to do it even better, but for a period of time, because not for forever. but until they got better doing it, and they didn't need us anymore. So this feed forward process, I think it's a very amazing, small but powerful tool that can be used.
Yeah, and I think we need to attribute this to Marshall Goldsmith. Scott. I think he made this process really successful, and not only successful, but very popular in the coaching and the business world of this fit forward. And I think it's if we go to the basics of how our mind works, it's like, what do you focus on? Grows, right? This is what we also do in the mindfulness practices or in yoga. I teach yoga, right? So, and we say that what you focus on grows. So if you focus on the negative things, you will experience more of the negative sides of the whatever is going on in your team, right? So everybody is in a negative loop. Whilst if you focus on the positive things and the positive outcome that might result from the interactions between the team members, you will be continuously looking for that as well. So I think for you guys as leaders, work on doing that, and you will see that it's a simple process, but it's not easy to implement, because if you take a few moments and you observe yourself and you become more aware of the way you're thinking as a leader, you will notice that we as human beings have a tendency to focus mostly on the negative part of things, and focusing on the positive part of things, it's actually a work in itself. You need to be constantly aware of your thoughts and what you're focusing on. So just wanted uh, to acknowledge our viewers here. And Ebru, thank you for your comment. I think we both know, because we come from the corporate world, that there are many managers who think of themselves as leaders. And thank you for your contribution. Thank you, David, for checking in with us. I hope you did find this topic useful for you. I know some of you watching are already experienced, not only managers, but people leaders. But I know that also in our audience, there are new managers who are still up-leveling their skills, both professional and soft skills. So thank you. Hi, Randy. Thank you for watching us, for joining us from Austin, Texas. If you have any topics that you would like us to cover here, we talk about how you can improve team performance, do reach out to us here on LinkedIn. Me and Gabe are both professional coaches. Follow us for our channel on YouTube as well. We are live on YouTube as well. Gabe, do you have any closing words before we log off?
Yes, I want to offer a spoiler, because I think you refrained from doing it. But we are actually preparing a course for managers, and it's coaching skills for managers. And one of the future topics for sure is going to be how deploying coaching skills as a leader, especially, can greatly improve team performance. Even if you are not a professional coach, you can get and get better in approaching any discussion and any meeting with a coaching stance, and you can see how that greatly improves. We've worked with many leaders individually and help them get these coaching skills, but now we want to take it to the next level and make it more available to people, and we are actually now creating a course, coaching skills for managers.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the spoiler, Gabe. We will let you know for sure when we are ready with that. And for sure, I think it is actually a great topic to be covering, right? Coaching skills for managers. Teaching someone to manage is an excellent idea. Yeah, thank you, because it's it's not as easy as it looks, right? Thank you for that, Randy. It's and you need some skills as well. It's not only the the you need to show up in the office and fill up or fill in some reports and just send them to. When you're working with people, you do need to learn how to interact and how to listen and how to. And I don't want to get into all that because I
No,
would mean I would
it's
it
enough
would mean
spoilers.
exact. It would mean just giving away what are the skills right now, but we will get into them for sure in the course that we are preparing. So it's going to be coaching skills for young managers. For sure, they're experienced managers that would probably want to revisit um, some of the skills that we will be talking about in the course. Meanwhile, guys, do follow us, subscribe to our channel, connect with us. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Meanwhile, until next Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, stay safe, stay well, and produce results for your organization, because I think that's why you're there.
Be
Bye, everyone.
sustainable.
Exactly, be sustainable. Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you.